Hi, everybody. Welcome to Brady's Corner. I'm Brady. This is my corner. Today, we have a great guest. I can't wait for you all to meet Mohan Ananda. Welcome to Brady's Corner. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Brady. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Now, Mohan, your background and what you're doing currently is so deep. There's so many things. I don't even know where to begin. I can't wait for everybody to meet you. It's one of the great blessings in my life and doing what I do to get to meet a lot of interesting folks. And I'm looking forward to everybody hearing about you. So could you introduce yourself a little bit and share with the audience?
Certainly. I'm an immigrant from India. I came to the United States in 1967 and came to Pasadena in California. And I've really never left, in the sense I lived always in the neighborhood of Pasadena. I came as a student at California Institute of Technology. It's one of the, I think, the most prestigious schools in the world. So I'm very proud of being there. And then I finished my schools and studies. And I have, in my professional life, there is a three stages. Stage one, after my PhD in astrophysics, I started working at JPL, part of NASA, and I was more involved in the various interplanetary missions. That's one. Then I migrated to another think tank at Aerospace Corporation, primarily for Department of Defense, and I became one of the primary architects of GPS, Global Positioning System. And I consider that to be my most valuable contribution to society and mankind. That's there are many things I did, but I am very proud of it. And I have a lot of this is when, of course, the time of Soviet Union, and we had to have a very good weapon system. And GPS was developed and integrated with all our weapons as a force effectiveness part of it. Of course, GPS became very, very useful to practically everybody in the world. That's my stage one life. Then, because I was traveling a lot, I was liaised as a liaison officer with NATO countries. So I kind of thought maybe I should go to law school. I changed my profession in a way, and become a lawyer. That's my second stage. And as a lawyer, I worked with a lot of companies, startup, mid-size, even large companies, help them to raise money and things of that type. And also an area which I was very much involved in, the intellectual property, because I'm technology background. And so I have a number of patents. But I help people to go and get patents, things like that. That's my second stage. The third stage, which I am currently in, I became an entrepreneur, and I started a number of companies. Some of them are failures, but I have learned a lot from it. But I actually took 4 companies public now. One, Stamps.com, another InvestNet, and another Jab. Stamps was in NASDAQ, InvestNet in New York Stock Exchange, and another is Jab Ventures in London Stock Exchange. And recently I took a SPAC company, again in NASDAQ. So, and altogether, I might have raised over $1 billion. So it's very, very successful experiences. And I consider myself lucky to learn many things. And currently I am in the current SPAC, we call the merger with the target company. That's the space I'm in currently. So this gives you a little kind of an outlook of my current professional background.
Thank you so much for that. So to dig into, just so for everybody's benefit here, SPAC stands for what now?
SPAC stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Company. It's basically like, let me kind of spend a minute on it. Generally, companies go public through IPO or initial public offering. And the way you do that, you have to have basically the numbers, meaning how good you are, what's your total revenue, what's the profit you have. And you convince the investors based on it, I want to raise X amount of dollars and the valuation and things like that. That's the common practice of company going public. The SPAC is a little different. The special purpose acquisition company is what is called the blank check company. There is no company, there is no product, no services. What you really have is people, meaning like, for example, me. I go to the investors and said, I am good. I can find you a good company later, but I don't know which one, but give me the money. You raise money, but it is going public. That company is going public. Once you raise the money, then you go and find a suitable target and negotiate with them and come back and come up with the valuation, and then go back to the investors and get their approval, and you demerge them. That's the process. And that is really get a lot of kind of traction. The real reason is, I think it's the most efficient way, because now instead of them directly looking at the companies, you're looking at that team who is qualified, capable, experienced, who have done these things, and you bring them and tell them, you go and figure it out, bring it to us, and then we will approve. So that's a two-stage process. And this is what currently, I think I learned a lot by going through. Of course, you learn by doing it, and I'm in the process of doing it. So that's SPAC.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And additionally, on top of all that, in your spare time, you decided to write a book, Autobiography of an Immigrant.
Exactly. That's because primarily it's because of the pandemic. I used to travel really crazy. I mean, my wife wasn't very happy about my travels, but I couldn't go anywhere the last 2 years. So I thought this is the time to take advantage of the time. So I started. I mean, I was thinking about writing my kind of experience before, but it really became real during the pandemic, and I started writing it. In fact, I have a book right behind here. I don't know whether you can see. This is the book. I mean, it's a good experience. And I met, of course, Doug. Doug helped me to pull it together, and it's available in Amazon.
That is great. That is great. Thank you for sharing. Can we talk about that? So your book as an autobiography of an immigrant. Can we talk about your journey and really the challenges as well as the opportunities and everything else? Would love to hear kind of an overview and not only of the book but your journey, which the book covers, and dig into that a little bit.
Certainly. The book, okay, I told you the way the book came out, but I was always thinking, because I come from, another country, and my children born here, and I have grandchildren. Even though we have taken them to India a few times, they still really don't know a lot about my roots or what my upbringing, what my experiences. So I had 3 objectives writing the book. The objective 1 is to be something which I can pass it on to my children and grandchildren. That's something I can share with them. Of course, I tell them stories and all, but it's not like they get everything. So that's the objective 1, is to create a legacy so that they will learn about me and my background in the future. Second objective, I came as a student, and I went through all kind of troubles and difficulties and growing up. So I thought I could be not as a role model, at least an example for the young people to look at it and what type of things people encounter and how do you manage it? How do you kind of, solve problems or try to get best out of it? So that is the second objective, as a document, more like a reference book, something people can use it. The third objective is just for the business people. And when you start a company, there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of things you have to look through. So I wanted to kind of share my experience in various companies I've been with, how those things happened and what results and how things did not work or how certain things worked. And that was the objective. So those three objectives was really my purpose of writing the book. And I think the book conveys that. And so, of course, I got some feedback from people who read it, and they felt that purpose was, not 100% satisfied, but quite a bit satisfied in that sense.
Thank you for that. I'm seeing some parallels in another immigrant. There was a gentleman that came over and also settled in Pasadena, Albert Einstein.
He's my role model, so there is no comparison.
Well, you're very humble, but I would say that the GPS technology and everything related to that, that's a huge accomplishment, and one that's been very creative and helpful for mankind as well. And what is your thought? Like, can you talk a little bit about that? And when were you doing? Was that about the same time you were liaising for NATO?
No, subsequently, because GPS, GPS was conceived primarily as a force effectiveness, an enabler for the weapon system, any weapon. For example, if you want to go and target a particular site, doesn't matter what it is, statistically, if you launch those missiles or anything, you need many more to touch the target, because the probability of getting the target is not very good. So some people started thinking, can you navigate the missile on the way to the target? That means you know where you are, continuously you know where you are, where you want to go, and reach the right place. That means instead of, say, you need 10 vehicles to go one target, you just need one vehicle now. So that becomes the force effectiveness. And that's how the whole concept of GPS became a part of the weapon system. But the problem is, if you're, of course, the adversary will go after the weapon, and GPS being the navigator, we can go after the GPS. GPS, of course, the satellite itself, you can go after, but you can have many satellites and protect it. But the signal itself, very important to have this. If the target or your weapon doesn't, or your phone, as an example, if it doesn't receive the signal, it doesn't give you where you are or what the navigation information is. Thus, they can go and destroy the signal. The way you destroy, one of the examples is, you can have a nuclear explosion in the upper atmosphere, and that can create what we call scintillation. So we have to come up with a system to survive that threat or that attack. And so that is one of my primary responsibilities. The second part of it, in order to get your position accurately, you need to know where these satellites sending the signal accurately. And that is generally done by ground system. The ground system receives, there are certain ground systems, places, it receives the signal and computes, and it sends the information to the satellite. That information comes to your receiver. That's how it works. But the problem is, an adversary can just eliminate the ground system. So if the ground system is eliminated, then there is no way you can get an accurate information from the satellite. So then your accuracy becomes degraded. So that is a potential threat. So we have to come up with a system by which you have to correct that. So I came up with an idea, what is known as Crosslink. This is not a classified information. I cannot tell you how I protected the signal. That is classified, but that is now, we actually went to Tromsø in the upper part of Norway, and Adelaide in Australia, and did some experiments to see whether the signal is safe even with the scintillation. So instead of putting a nuclear bomb in the upper atmosphere, we created helium, kind of thing in the thing, and that will mimic scintillation, and the scintillation will, disturb the frequency. But we have done something which I cannot disclose in such a way that we can really close the link. The link is closed, no problem. You don't lose the signal. Now, the accuracy of the things, the ground system is destroyed. So we came up with this concept called crosslink ranging. Crosslink ranging is nothing but ranging between the satellites. That's, you send a signal to the other satellite, so it doesn't come down to Earth. That the primary signal is for the receiver to get, is coming to the ground. The other one is called crosslink, and that will automatically in the satellite, it will calculate, it will know the exact location, so the accuracy doesn't degrade. Our requirement was 6 months, and we have tested it for more than 2 or 3 years. Accuracy is perfect. So the accuracy is good, signal is good, so the weapon system is good. So as I just want to give you that was the responsibility. This is all before the accident. One accident happened due to a Korean airline went, kind of before, they had a good navigation system. They went into Soviet Union, and Soviet Union then shot the plane down. And
Oh, wow.
immediately after that, Reagan Reagan was the president at the time, and he made a statement, I'm going to get the GPS full accuracy to everybody, primarily for the airlines, and then he made it for every civil. So that was a tremendous transformation that happened. But the defense system capabilities are still preserved, but you get the same accuracy. But the reason I'm saying is, it's not only a civilian benefit, it is really the force enhancer for the whole American.
So not a lot of people, I think, know that. I know I was surprised to learn that when I took a geographic information systems course in college, that it was originally created by the Department of Defense, the GPS.
It is, in fact, the budget, it's online budget. When I initiated this crosslink ranging, that cost close to 2 billion, but they have, with one page report, they approved it, and they went and made everything. Now every satellite is equipped with, but there are more payloads in the satellite now, so we can do more things, and it's a very, very successful. Probably it is one of the most successful programs in the DoD arsenal.
Now, you mentioned something the other day about the U.S. needing to catch up on our technology in regarding to intercepting hypersonic missiles.
Yeah.
I read something you wrote.
I wrote it in LinkedIn. A little bit of my frustration. My frustration is this. We are spending close to $800 billion or more every year, more than the next 20 countries or more than anybody put together. Now, because of, even though we are afraid of a nuclear attack. For example, in the Korean War, the Russia, they have 3,000 plus nuclear weapons. So they kind of said, we may be able to, we may use it. So obviously we, meaning America, their budget is less than 40 billion. We are 20 times more, but we are afraid that this could come. It would be catastrophic. The real reason it is catastrophic, even though we can defend parts of it, but not 100%. So if you can't defend 100%, any one we can create a catastrophic, danger. So my theory is what Reagan actually started, called the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, which is a space-based defense system. Means if anybody launches or initiates a nuclear weapon system, we can detect it, we can identify it, we can destroy it. Before it does any damage. And you need to get a 100%, capability, meaning there is no hole in it. So if whether North Korea or Iran or even now Russia, we thought it will be a reasonable country, so it won't use something like that. But Russia, anybody. So I think in that LinkedIn write-up, we should initiate that process. It may take some time, but in 80s, you know what 80s technology? In 2020, the technology is amazing. So we can do much better, more efficiently, and more creatively, but it'll take some effort. It's not a guaranteed thing, but we should do it so that if we do that, then there is no more nuclear threat possible. Because we can 100%.
Mohan, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about UFOs. Okay, you've seen those the images flying around at Mach 8, in water, out of water. The Department of Navy released videos. Your thoughts on that? Of course, don't disclose anything that's classified.
No, I would not say anything. But let me tell you my feeling of UFO. 99+ percentage of UFO is man-made. Okay? We don't know who made or how it is. There are still things which we have no knowledge. The reason is, there are a couple of reasons. One, there is life outside our solar system. There is no question about it, because our universe, it's not even universe, it's called almost multiverse. There is so many systems. So every stars may have a planetary system. And there is a high probability, statistically high probability, that there is life outside. And some life form could be more advanced than what we are. And we are still in the evolutionary process. So the capabilities of outside living systems, we don't know. We don't know many things, and we are still learning. So there is a probability of, but the one issue, many of the nearby so-called planetary systems in our galaxy or outside the galaxy, it takes if you believe in what Einstein said, the speed of light is the maximum speed with which somebody could travel, then it takes several light years, thousands of light years to reach somebody to come. But that's where I kind of have some doubt in Einstein's assumption or a theory that speed of light may not be the limiting factor. If that is the case, then of course you can reach, one thing I know, our thought travels instantly. I can be now on Mars. I'm right there. It doesn't take any time. If thought can travel.
I think my thought takes a little longer.
No, but I'm saying is, so there could be something which can travel faster than speed of light. We don't know that yet. And so there could be potential visitors from some place. We don't know that. And we have to still learn more about it. That's just my understanding of the UFO. I don't know whether I answered it correctly, but that's my opinion.
Well, going back to your thoughts on our need to improve our interception capability, and seeing some of those images, and they're all over mainstream news, right? Of particularly the Navy one that captures the image going at Mach 8, the object. And if that's not us, and that's one of our, another nation, we need to, get on that and improving our technology to whatever they have, right? So
that is very, very true. I mean, but I can kind of give a hint in the sense, we have the technology. We have similar or better. And some of the things we see are also created by us. Okay. Meaning we are good at it. I mean, there is no question about it. But we need to, there are the things we still don't know. There are two parts. Detection. First, you have to identify and detect it almost instantly when it happens. The second, we should be able to go after it and remove it if when need to do it. Those areas needs to be perfected, and not only theoretically, make it formally, deploy it, test it, and make it operational. So that takes effort, and that takes funding, that takes dedication. But people somehow or other think our weapon system, we are spending too much, we have to clean it up. Maybe that is true in many ways, but we have to do it at the right type of things.
I agree. Yeah, thank you for that. And I agree. By anybody's measure, your first career, or first really two careers with JPL and then Department of Defense, is a huge success by anybody's measure. And then, like Benjamin Franklin.
Let me interject that. The reason is, if you look at the people, those who got Nobel Prize, 95% of the Nobel Prize winners, their work, the real reason, they may get it when they are 75 or 80, but the work, what they have done to get the Nobel Prize is all done when they are 35 or below, including Einstein's, the relativity theory. That work was done when he was fairly young. So everybody who is really capable of producing and creative and innovative and really breakthrough, they do when they are young. So I said, I think I've been pretty creative and all when I was young. Then I said, now I want to do something different. It doesn't need to be that creative. On to law and being in management in entrepreneurship, and bring those intelligent, capable young people to do what I would have done when I was young. I just want to give you, that's the transition, and people should recognize and do accordingly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, it's, just looking at everything you've accomplished since then, is, again, like 4 public companies. Can we just dig into stamps.com a little bit? Because that's another thing that really did kind of revolutionize the way we approach, not just mailing and whatnot, but logistics, and a lot of things have changed as a result of that. Can you talk about that? I want to dig into that. I want to dig into, just other people as well, that maybe they have a, thriving job and at a company or corporate America, and also, so entrepreneurship versus entrepreneurship, and dig into both of those, and what advice you have for folks.
Let me tell you the way the stamps.com came into being, or the concept. In 92, when the internet was not really that much, in fact, internet came from what we call the DARPA network some time back, which I was kind of partially involved as right from the days of my Caltech days to JPL days, because the DARPA network centers were these institutions connecting, and they were doing research how to use internet. The internet came into being. And then slowly but steadily, the World Wide Web, WWW, came into being. That's the time, but it's very, very small bit rate. But I felt this is going to grow. This is the world. I mean, some or other, I had that feeling. So I started this patent because I was into IP. So I wanted to protect certain property rights. So I went and did this initial patent in the e-commerce area. E-commerce, now we call e-commerce. Those days, there is no e-commerce or nobody. This is before Amazon. This is before anything. I'm talking about 92. And 96, I got the patent. That's the year I use. Basically what it is, anytime two people connect, there has to be a continuous connection. Means it's encrypted, plus there is somebody looking after. That's where the SaaS model eventually came. But that my patent happened to be almost like a foundational patent for, there are thousands, not thousands, tens of thousands additional patents have come, but it all refers back to my original patent as a reference. But so with this, the real printing stamps by anybody is like printing money, because stamps is money. So we, of course, the United States Postal Service is not easy to allow you, but they found it's very beneficial. And, we saved a lot of money for them, because they used to spend, for every dollar they spend on stamps, close to 30 cents is printing, securing, distributing. So it's like a total waste of money. Here, they don't print, they don't secure, they nothing. User pays the same dollar, so they saved a significant amount of money. I mean, that's why the stamps became very successful. And I mean, it's in the area of primarily in the e-commerce, but it's in the logistics area. And we don't do anything. We, meaning stamps.com, doesn't have any logistical, like UPS or FedEx. They have all the trucks and planes. We just have computers. That's it. But we were at the time, actually recently we sold it, but we had about $1 billion revenue, but we were doing close to $20 billion worth of actual shipping services, which is, and the profit margin was close to 400 million. So it's very, very from a value proposition, it's very, very good. And we sold it for 6.6 billion to a private equity company. So it was a very successful endeavor.
Wow. Well, so yeah, I mean, that's beyond a success in any measure. What advice, what are some of the challenges you went through? What advice might you have for intrapreneurs versus entrepreneurs, and going from there?
Yes, I think the challenges are, if you start something, from my experience, it can succeed or it can be a failure. That could be, both are possibilities. But you have to have a belief in yourself. You have to say, it's like the little engine says, I can do it, I can do it. You have to have that vision. And now you go to that destination. You have to identify the end point or whatever it is. Then you map out the navigating to that point, come up with a process. Of course, you need to bring, any startup, any company, any business, there are 3 ingredients. 1, the product or service, what you are going to do. 2, team, the people involved. 3, the capital to start. So, okay, but among all the 3 things, the most important is the team, the people you bring together. I mean, it doesn't need to be a lot of people, but you need to, one cannot think you can do everything yourself. There is no way. So, but you may want to bring others as it requires. Not that you need to have 20 people start with. Maybe another 1 guy is enough initially, but within a month or a week, you may want to bring another guy. But each time you have to bring the person with integrity and the person you can work with the qualification. If you are developing software, that person should certainly know how to code or whatever the software requires. Or if you are developing some instrument, then he should know the electronics or whatever you need. But you need the right qualification. But more than that, you need the integrity and the similar visionary ambition. So the team is extremely important. Of course, product, if you have the right team, even if the product is not good, you can make the product better. And the third, capital, there are many ways to raise money. Of course, initially it will be difficult, but you may have to put something because you're taking the risk. You have to but you can get it from friends, family, things like that. And once it reaches certain level, there are seed capital, a real professional capital will come into play. That's the path that I would always advise people.
That's excellent advice, Mohan. I really appreciate it. I mean, there's so much I think we can dig into here. I hope to have you on again, and we can talk about, one or more and more in depth, or some current events as well. And is there anything that you'd like to cover before we jump off?
I mean, and thanks a lot. I really enjoyed talking to you. I
You as
mean,
well.
one area which I learned from you is the research and development tax credit, which I don't say that I learned a lot, but I was intrigued after talking to you. So I got into some area, and I may want to bring back and kind of get your brain on that, because I think that's a fantastic space. Because tax, I mean, I'm for paying tax because we live in a very good, community because of the tax money. Of course, there is a lot of waste, but
Sure.
but still there are a lot of. So I support paying tax. There is no question about it.
Sure.
But there are certain rules and statutory things which are available. People don't know, and they don't get the benefit of it.
That's right.
And that's where the issue would come. And you opened up certain areas for me, and I think I'm going to dig into and see how we can take advantage of. It's not leveraging, it's just using the existing legal structure.
That's right.
I mean, so, and people may not be aware of it. So that needs to be some or other communicated, so we can have a discussion on that, and I will learn quite a lot from it.
Absolutely, and I agree with that so much. I mean, if you look at all the public companies and whether they're in tech or not, tech, home building, you name it, you can look at their 10Ks and just do a Control F and see. It'll skip straight to tax credits, and you can see how many hundreds of millions that they're taking in tax credits. Name your high tech company out there, and look at their. But a lot of the startups that we were talking about, the entrepreneurs and folks that are, let's say 500 people and less, a lot of them don't know of this. A lot of them are unaware of these tax credits, and this puts them, on at least equal footing as far as profitability and everything else with the big dogs of the world. So, Mohan, thank you so much for joining today, and we'll make sure to make the link to your book available when we post this. And thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining today. Make sure to like and follow me on social media as well as YouTube. We will see you next time. Again, I'm Brady, and this is my corner. Thanks for joining us here on Brady's Corner.